Okay.
Okay, I got the venturi poked in there. See the driver coming through the center of it?
Okay, yeah.
Lined up. Put the light on the house. There you go. Now you can see.
Yep.
The spray nozzle has to drop down in there. Now this one's kind of loose, so it makes it easier to do. When they're tight, they don't go in very easily. I'm just going to wiggle around a little bit until that goes in. We're in the general bar plug, so there it goes. So now it's in there, see?
Mm-hmm.
Now you just take the nut to hold that in. Hey, more of the crap that was on the spring.
It's not going away.
I think I know where it came from. It came from the nut. Alright, so now the venturi's in there.
Yeah.
Out of the way. So I'm going to put the rest of this together. So we'll just go ahead and do the choke side right now. Okay, where is our little spring that we had left over? There it is. Here's another spring. Now this is the steel spring here. I don't know why they got brass and steel, but they do. Just a little ball. Goes right on top of that. And you take your plate. I forget which way it goes. One way or the other. Okay, I put the ball right up in right here.
Okay.
Push it down, insert the shaft.
Okay.
And we'll see if we get the right spot. Doesn't seem to be lining up very well. So where am I at? Pull that out. As usual, I'm probably in the wrong spot. Where is the slot? There's the slot. Between there and there. It looks like I'm in the right spot. You just have to get it exactly right, that's all.
Most important.
Yes. Seem to be cooperating very well. There's the flat at. Chasing after us. The ball just fell out. There it goes. Hard on your finger, see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that takes a little nut and a little lock. Now, if you didn't put this together first, it would be a little bit easier. But why make it easy on myself? Okay, I take a little bit of light duty Loctite here. This is for under 1/4 inch hardware.
Got one for everything, huh?
Which is what this is, under 1/4 inch hardware.
So many choices.
Yeah, that's just Loctite, then you move into other brands. You got automotive grade, commercial grade, they got all kinds of grades. Okay, make sure you're in the right stroke area. Looks to be in the right area. Now this is brass, so you can't get too carried away with torque. Make sure it works freely. Seems to be working. Now if you don't have the flats here for the screws to go in, see there's no flat on that side, you're in backwards.
Yep.
Plus this here would be way over here instead of down here. Another giveaway. Okay, the metal disc goes on there. Now this one here was originally on a 1-inch carburetor because there's a 1 on it. This is not a 1-inch carburetor, it's an 1.25-inch carburetor. So this is not the correct throttle disc for this application. You know what the difference is in this?
Yeah.
The other one has 1.25 written on it, or 1.5 inches.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
They're all the same size.
They're all the same. Harley likes doing that. I think we're missing a lock washer.
There's 4 of them.
Yeah, I think there was only 3 that I remember seeing.
Maybe the 4th one was a different size.
The 4th one was the big one.
Yeah.
I thought there was one when I missed when I took it apart. So once again, I put a Loctite on here. We do not want these to fall out. And you'll make sure the disc is in there centered up before you torque all this together. Otherwise it can cause some binding issues. It doesn't really matter if you put the choke in or the throttle in. They both have to go in. Just make sure you put the venturi in there before you do it. Okay, so screws are in there. You can move this back and forth a little bit. They kind of self-center. And then, like I say, you make sure the disc is closed like this so it's centered in the bore. And you just bring them in lightly together.
More brass, so you don't want to over torque.
And then you torque the snot out of them. Well, the screws are steel, but they thread in the brass. And when you're all done, it should work like that. Now this has a hard mechanical choke, so that means when you choke it, you're breathing through that little hole right there. Now what's nice about this one over that floppy one is when you open it up, there's not that much restriction, whereas with the floppy one, you got a big turd hanging down here in the wind. So it cuts the airflow. So this is the hot rod one. So much more airflow in there. Okay, so make sure it's the other direction like that so you can lay it flat on the table. Okay, now we get to do this one. So make sure it works freely. Now this has a 13 up here. There's no number there, see? This has an angle cut to it. See that in the camera? So this has an angle. So you gotta make sure you put it in right. If you put it in backwards, see with the sharp edge of it here instead of the flat part coming in to seal it, wouldn't work right. Otherwise known as it run like crap. And most likely the throttle won't open all the way either. So you just kind of lay it in there, jiggle around until the screws line up and everything lines up. It should be dead center. If it's off the side, your screws are going to be out of whack. And just go ahead and put that in there. I'm going to go look for another washer though. Luckily I got a whole bunch of linkage stripped over there. So we'll go steal an original one for you. I know you wouldn't want to have any unavailable parts in this knuckle motor.
Oh yeah.
Heaven forbid. Alright, so then hold it right back. Here's our lock washer we needed. And there's a tapered spring that was missing I forgot about. Goes up on top of the throttle disc. So lay it over there for now. Correct screw. A lot of times the aftermarket stuff does not fit because it's too big. Okay, now before you button it up, make sure the disc is all the way down. So you got clearance in the shaft, so I shove it all the way up as you're pushing down here. And you tighten these up equally on both sides. Put some tension on it. And then you go ahead and pretend you know what you're doing and torque the snot out of it. Okay. And hopefully it works after you're done.
Pretty good.
Now this one being used and a little bit loose, it doesn't bind at all. If it did bind, we have to work on it for another hour. Okay, then you want to know how good it is, so you open the choke all the way up. And then you go up to the light up there and you look and see how much bypass you got. So how much light do we got going past? How much coming out?
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good, actually. That's just about 100% sealed. A lot of times you got a big gap going all the way around,
Right.
which would be bad.
Okay.
And that's if the disc is in there correctly. See the little transfer slot that we cut white earlier? See how it uncovers that correctly?
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you had the wrong parts in here, it would not be, that might be totally covered or wrong. So one more thing you got to make sure is correct. If that's not correct, it don't run for crap. Okay, now our fancy tapered spring
Okay.
goes right there. And our fancy throttle lever. Well, this is for a universal throttle. Is that what we're putting on this bike? Who knows? We're not doing the bike, right?
That's right.
Okay, so this is full throttle this way. This is against this side here is our
Right.
idle speed. So idle speed should be like that. Full throttle should be here.
Okay.
Now you notice how that goes over center?
Uh-huh.
So we gotta make sure we put it over here where it belongs. And then same thing, we're pushing up on this here against the body and pushing this down against the spring here.
Okay.
And the spring is supposed to keep this stuff from rattling and eating
Right.
itself to pieces. Everybody seems to ignore. Wonder what things vibrate themselves to pieces. Okay, you get that so just enough to hold it. Then you take your straight edge and you lay it up there and you see how straight it is. See how good you are. Looks pretty close. Usually I don't get it right on the money the first time. So see the angle there on the camera?
Yeah.
See that's vertical?
Yeah.
So,
Ship it.
So if it's angling this way, it's too
Right.
far. If it's this way, then enough. Now the trick is not to tighten against that because then it will move on you. So you're going to hold it and then tighten. Tighten it really good. Okay. So now you make sure you're still getting full throttle. Looks good. It still goes back and forth, which is good. Because we have a spring in there, so there's no rattle.
Uh-huh.
So it won't eat itself to pieces. Too bad. There's still a certain amount of you get, but a lot less than was nothing. And you notice now that the idle speed screw is not even hit right now. So we have to go ahead and adjust that. Now this spring here might bottom out. If it does, we'll have to do something different. Looks like it is bottoming out. And the throttle's not even opening yet. So this screw is wrong. We need a longer screw or a shorter spring. One of the two. So we'll have to work on that here in a little bit. We'll get back to that. There's always more problems to worry about later. Okay, then we got our little assembly that we're going to leave the way it is because it seems to be good. We got our nice gasket here that looks like somebody just put it in there, so we're going to keep it. And you got to make sure you don't bend this too hard when you bang it against the table. You want to make sure the spring stays in here so the venturi doesn't slide down. So you just leave it like this so it stays where it is. So it's still in there. So here's our gasket. And this is the overhead valve float bowl, so it sits flat against the body. The side valve ones actually stick up on the outside because they hang over the side.
Okay.
So this one goes in straight like that between your two pins. A lot of times one of the pins is missing. Here's our gasket here, which still looks usable, so we're going to reuse it. Here's our nut. So this rebuild is not including any new parts, just a couple new parts to it,
Yeah.
like the missing stuff. Except for that set screw I had to replace because it was junk. Where's my cursor? So now we just go ahead and tighten this down. I like putting them in pretty tight, but you do have to be careful. Alright, so that goes in like that. Now we make sure our choke is wide open. We're going to set our mixture screw. You bottom it out, like that. And you come out 3.5 to 4 turns. So it's half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 3 3/4, anywhere in that area. 3 3/4 seems to be a popular number, but
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter because once the choke is on a little bit, it lifts it up so it's full rich. It's only when it's fully open does it actually do anything. Okay, so we got that one set. Now our main jet over here. Put a little oil on this thread so they work nice. Go ahead and bottom this one out. Now these are the correct tall levers here for Knucklehead. It's going to cut the big diameter tops, which is correct for Knuckles. Later stuff is smaller and dinkier. Now you look at where that is, and easy you go, it's going to be somewhere around a turn to a turn and a half on most of these. So usually I just go like a turn and a half. So it's half, 1, 1.5. Somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
Rarely do you need a 1 3/4, so just 1.5 should be enough to run on. It'll let you know if it's not happy. Alright, so that's pretty well done like that. So right now you go see about getting a longer screw for here. But other than that, we're pretty well done. These threads here I think will hold. We just got to be careful when you torque them down. And these are good. Now these are 12/24 threads, so you have to find the right screws for here to hold your air cleaner on. And these are just standard 5/16 on this side. So I'll go ahead and find a little bit longer screw out here, and that will button it up. cut it off.